below species. Since before before modern nations founding, we had entrenched here suit and tie nations counters to it that didn't understand, that were bonded as identities of relationship to themselves, as identities of jobs, especially of the law, all that tied to them. They can't defend themselves in us from what is exploiting negative value nature progressions tied to each database relationship, tied to each campus, each science. Like morality. When they say the president is making moral equivalence, they're dishonest, and they're pretending to be against power, which they're using to hide behind, because they're only defending jobs that are relied on agencies, foreign and domestic, and collusion through fake science, because the crime method has nothing to do. What it has to do with evidence rackets, evidence reception rackets, evidence reception crime methods, exploiting fake science there and here for shared, policed. Psychology especially. Russians, Americans, other nations recorded criminally involved with psychologists, with a whole bunch of people from my town that they used criminally growing up. They're needing they're forging names now with judges and interbranch forging names with police, investing themselves further and further, trapped where they're going to get sanctions on that. Otherwise, they keep our people motivated to hurt our own. Set that up through time. 3 Pandolf brothers and their family associated with other houses around the Samuel Dix house with this database organized crime. Russian families. They also indicated that, and people tied to the probate court judges' extended family with the Della Fera family. The Pandolf family also recorded and confessed and demonstrated they implied that's tied to their roles with a Chinese food restaurant and Town Line Drive on that hill there, right next to Joseph Lieberman's offices or his wife's, tied to Ray Hernandez, tied to advisors at CCSU associated with the interstate cliques, criminally involved with trade center predicate acts, mail crimes, like with the Leahy family, pretended through time that they knew me, with their drug cliques with the Britain Superior Court. Evidence is crime methods in there. Identity theft crime methods in there. That's with mail crimes with them. Attaching me to fake conversations about police equipment. Then recorded with offensive evidence reception crime rackets. With FBI families and with direct and indirect witness protection program tied to my area. Foreign and domestic families also, especially with psychology. Their delusions wrought. These are doctors of police that are supposed to be mental experts that are uncharged originally, still physical delusions and criminally foreign influence fact treatment nature rackets roles. Bonded as lie progression, cover up nature style, sequence shift. This is tied to a sequence shift affected from inside the Trade Center attack context 9th Circuit, which is Manhattan. With the same interstate from Connecticut, criminally involved with inter various natures of courts, and of the same courts criminally involved before that. And then after that was proven, that led to a part of a 2006 case /S in a Connecticut District Court with former director of the FBI. It was a co-defendant with federal criminals that my father beat in an earlier NLRB case, and tied to that one that was /S that was going on at the time of his death. Those people and the FBI defendant, former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, the federal criminal, his co-defendants, and his lawyer criminally involved with kids in my town when I was growing up through time. One of them had a daughter in my grade, involved with the Heather Hansen in sexual circles with men and women, tied to New Britain Superior Court, like Joe DeMoro and Mike Kerr with a Heather Hansen, also tied to reportedly per them, tied to a Dan Keene, who I basically never had a conversation with, never. and they put me on a thing to run against him as president. I don't know who did that. They were putting illusions and databases in the background. Also with justifications with military police and with little like people that look like sexual offenders, like little rat mob kids. Maybe he took her out or something, but he's like they're trying to start violence with people, and then if they defend ourselves, then we're going to get attacked by gun crimes, evidences crimes, identity thefts, so too many natures of impositions at once. Once you have standing criminally involved, lie, progression, cover up natures, needs, and roles with various natures of agencies, police forms, then they start using the sensibilities. They've been using the sensibilities of everyone since founding. When they say, oh, the president's making a moral equivalent, they're ducking behind what China and Russia and Italy and Ireland, all these countries with psychology drugs. They're recorded with prison rackets, cliques, crime methods, where they pretend to have conversations. They're forging names, switching names. Then they have torture methods that they were involved with since before the Trade Center attack, which they needed because this is completely a fact-cheating nature racket, offensive evidence reception racket that knew that they were going to build that. They put color in there so as one of the means to build would be let unfold and capable of defending itself and us at the same time from what really divided and conquered. Entrenched here since before our founders' births, who didn't have free speech, who had their sensibilities forced, glorified yet because of this. The motivations of it were other. When they make opinions about, especially then we have no science. When they say things about power and opinions like that, those are people who never heard real science. Those are people with insights into the nature of business, to jobs, to all areas with Washington, D.C., tied to criminal justice programs and stuff like that, like with the Walters family, also recorded and confessed involved with the sexual circles, with CCSU and with Trinity College and with Middlesex Community College, other criminal justice programs and cliques and training of police officers in interbranch police and families, criminally foreign influence, used for crimes also with Facebook, offensive evidence reception crimes, identity theft crimes, predicate acts, even using Facebook, interbranch police using the Facebook pages of courts for rape threats, for sexual abuses, crime roles with a principal sex offender. You see that? They weren't letting through time sexual offenses be demonstrated, and they're using fakes, offensive, to keep sequence shift, lie, progression, cover up natures, needs, and roles. Already invested that way for what really was is keeping the overt criminal enterprises, as recorded, as a tool to keep all the legalized ones, criminally legalized, pretending that's legitimate. They're not. We need each of the sciences' physical delusions demonstrated. We need the identity thefts and the extortion methods and crime acts through time, making the same criminally foreign influence losers with CCSU and Trinity College with my name in the background, forging names, switching names, using deans and their family members with this, drug crimes, and as crimes with child sex offenders. Let's go before I start having to use more names too. There's a whole bunch of girls of Alicia tied to Elizabeth. They attach me to fake conversation. In other words, fake tied. They lied to her with a whole bunch of people from my town, like an ILO family, also a Joel and his sisters and his mother and father and an extended family, also recorded and confessed involved with these cliques interstate. Also a Fred Grisette with the New York and with the Alicia's criminally involved with New York, Connecticut, and with the Scalora family. Also recorded and confessed involved in crimes with the DeMoro family through time. And identity thefts, sexual abuses of witnesses that they're pretending they're for in the background. Recorded. They have fake YouTube pages, fake Facebook pages to be me, pretending to be me, pretending to be me, people in my family through time. They have a fake YouTube page right on my Facebook page. I put a picture of it. It's got a picture of me they took from one of the fake news articles that stole my identity, wouldn't let me have a voice. Stole my mother's identity, wouldn't let her have a voice. When they forced the principal sex offender with the rest of them, recorded that they're still hiding because the judges are criminally involved. Even women judges with sex offenders, forging names, switching names. Crimes with predicate act clicks with New Britain Superior Court drug clicks. Predicate act clicks too. With sequence shifting clicks. Name switching, forging clicks. Crimes with areas before that. Crimes with databases with a Christine Billard tied to the fake news crime acts. Long-standing and closer to my age people from New Britain Superior Court from my town, interbranch offices, state judicial branch offices criminally involved. Enzo Vianza recorded criminally involved. I don't know if that is his cousin's name. That's the name I remember. There's two of them. And then there's women. There are women, police and stuff like that. Interbranch, intercity. They've been investing in them to need to cover up life progressions. Need to pretend power is worth what it's not. Need to pretend they're against power. You know, we have offensive evidence reception rackets. We have worse than no legal representation for Hartford, Connecticut, for New Britain, Connecticut, any city. Tied to what is sickly distinctly hurting each city to hide how it is sickly distinct, non-distinctly hurting each city, each nature of city, because this was designed to cause negative value nature progressions to be blamed on other and others, not just with color, but with the tactically denatured relationship to nature as the suburbs, causing negative value nature progressions, and that value denied because look at the alternative. Overtly forsaken. Those aren't means. That's what we can afford through a captive, torture, divide and conquer, breaching employed weapon, acceptation of a relationship to nature as a base, as the identity of ground, and its connection to what is active body of value discernment, and its connection to what is progression's discernment, value, as identity nature. And we're going to examine, we're going to examine real science. See, but we have the Saudi families, excuse me, especially because Saudi is not really for psychology. And all these other nations are fake sides reliant upon so many, they have physical delusions in criminality as the juxtaposed as the substance of their mental diagnosis. They have evidence racket, database crime, illusion stacking rackets, recorded methods of maintaining all fakes lifted. So we have mandated law not followed, and they're hiding behind how there are sanctions treatments against whatever is tied to the Stop and Shop, Town Line, all those people. There's other names like a Mike Levine also recorded, confessed, involved criminally. Smith brothers, a Jennifer Smith, a former Judge Smith. These are people with tied crime rolls. I had to write a complaint about the Judge Smith when I was a kid, attaching me to fake relationships to people I don't know. They're involved now with the principal sex offenders campus with the Joshua Julian, other interbranch police and their family members, criminally involved with that campus. Joshua Julian spreading rumors about that were proven wrong in courts because we have police forms and overt criminal enterprises since founding recorded, juxtaposed. See, we have other nations of police involved with the problems too. So when they get caught, only part get caught. And then the sanctions penalties are uneven. And that's part of a crime method that is keeping all knaves here and there. Reliefs pretend to be for any nation. China. That's not China history. The yin-yang, a nature of internation sciences before the criminal re-engineering revealed the value of English, which is using yin-yang, which is no female left to right, simultaneously, while alpha omega is male left to right. And while we have this identity that has its own identity of relationship to itself coming through this, as value, as a simultaneous nature, as an increasing nature of volume. See, we have logic as a nature of volume that is increasing. And its identity of relationship to itself, we have this obfuscated. It is inherent, active, and is progressive. Natures of value that are bonded in demonstration of invisible but still discernible semi-nature / complete nature relationship that the identity of all things has at once. The identity that causes inventions to work or not. The identity that further causes them to be further positive or negative or not. This is the Trinity in demonstrations. Individual, finite nature of volume. We are all individual, finite. We're simultaneously sexes, which is grouped as the value of both of our parents, and as how the Trinity of our volume, individual sexes, and our grouped and species volume is in demonstration to us of how it is. Those are three semi-natures, which are only temporary positive, as negative value nature when not with their simultaneously inherent, active, and progressive positive identity of relationship to themselves as science. By using the nature of volume as science, the nature of logic. See, we're going to have to deal with the physical delusions and the criminal foreign influences and crime methods preventing mandated law that have been keeping a whole bunch of nations there and here influenced by when they're not admitted because they had no credibility. Forget about it. Fix the fake news too. Fake stories, fake communications, me and my family. Those are Trade Center predicate act crime rules with WFSB. Since 2004 and earlier, and with that Fianza family, and with that, and one of them tied to a house on houses on Two Rod Highway, one across the street from Sal Savio's. Sal Savio's house also recorded, confessed, involved criminally with the body dumping spot of Billy Grasso various ways, in crimes with the agencies involved criminally. Also, a number of FBI are involved criminally, recorded, confessed, and demonstrated tied to and confirmed by him. I never had a conversation with him. Someone pretending to be him or someone pretending to be him, so it's confirmed anyways. Anyway, an Ian on, I don't even know his last name, on Twitter, but that's tied to a Phil Clough, cousin of a house in my area, who's a Phil Clough, recorded, confessed, involved further with the crimes with the principal sex offender, with the policing of the school. See, we have the police chief's daughter and his extended family also involved with doctors of psychology, foreign and domestic, with drugs and with overt drugs, and with crimes with overt criminal enterprises of various natures with areas through time, not by accident. Juxtaposed with a whole bunch of nation-shared police as fakes, fake sciences, victim predators. Yeah. Means bit. Please fix the fake news crab acts and the physical delusions and the fake sciences and the fake conversations with me and the sequence shifts and the fake patriotism fronts needed to hide behind sanctioned threats, where all fake sides are conspiring to keep the same outcomes. Only their ability, to stay knaves, pretending they're relying on other people, with database, tied to the database organized crime stacking racket tied to the Chamber Dick's house too. The house is next to it with the Yagmans criminally involved, and with the Leahy family, the doctor Brendan Leahy's his son. EMS families also involved with women in my street fighting with their kids with threatening murders and things like that, and they're breaking into houses, taking away an EMS car, because they're starting fights because these people are attaching, they're covering up line progressions, they're hiding their natures that are actually recorded. They can't defend themselves now. So we need them to put some, get the judges from the switching and forging names and sequences and pretending to record things. Also, you know, and put them in with one name on, put them on paper now. They're playing these games through victims from the trade center attack context. They've been attaching to fake words since before for the trade center context, interstate, and since. We have the investigations of the trade center attack context criminally involved with them. Former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin. Thaddeus Grabowski, criminally involved with people from with police forms that grew up criminally involved with them from my area. Now involved with further criminally with the principal sex offender, with Fox CT, with that corner, with buildings downtown, with Russian families also recorded and confessed criminally involved, with the drug crimes, criminally involved with the fire departments, criminally involved with families, involved with the sex offender roles, per their roles with crimes in the past, like with the Hanson family, the sexual circles, with the houses in my area, with the extended family members criminally involved that I had never had anything to do with, that pretended other. And now they're involved, like with Phil Clough, recorded, confessed by Bob Chase, involved with them criminally with not letting me read a police report as a trick means to pretend I knew him in the past. They tried to pretend I never had a conversation with him. I explained the one exception they tried to make. Wasn't even a conversation. Tied to a house on Two Rod Highway too, and tied to those Yagmans and to the two Mendez police with forging, switching names, pretending things recorded as police interbranch. In our court, forging names, switching names after other officers did that already. This is intercity, the same on-off campuses rackets. Let's go. Come on, follow the news. I mean, fix the fake news and let's go. Let's get some new people in. Let's get some science going. You know, fix the sequence shifts and stop pretending that using power with physical delusions. Power and might. We have to examine how power and might are run by this identity nature, the one that causes inventions to work, the identity of evolution, the one that causes it to be further positive or negative. CIs are all criminal and serious natures that can never be legalized. Let's go.